The Midwest #1 independent computer repair company with service centers in Lincoln, Omaha, Papillion, and across the country via the Schrock desk. This is Compute This.
Good morning, folks, and welcome into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company with service centers in Lincoln, Omaha, and Papillion. The number to join us on the program today, 866-496-8772. I do encourage you to call early and call often. When you do call in, we'll capture your telephone number. When Roger asks you for your telephone number, he's not being creepy. He's just getting the number because I asked him to, so that we can then at the end of the show draw a winner for the $25 Schrock gift card. Now, see, we get calls from people sometimes who complain that they didn't get their certificate. If you give us a fake phone number, we can't call you to get your address to mail you the certificate. So there you go. So give Roger a real number when you call in, and then ask your question, and we'll get you going on the air. All right, so Schrock Innovations is a computer repair company. That's where we got our start. That's our bread and butter, if you will. And we started doing this about 20 years ago, and we have seen a lot in 20 years. Since then we've grown into web design and development, software development, AI development, data recovery services, corporate services. Literally all these different things that we've grown into doing have been because there have been needs that have grown over time. So what I want to do today is I received an interesting comment on Facebook. So last week we had a story, and it was a fun tease. I thought it was funny. The ZDNet had a story about how Apple, the purpose of the story was to say how iPhone users are leaving Apple for Samsung or other providers. And the way that the data they had to back that was the customer retention rate. Now, the story's headline was the lead paragraph was Apple users are throwing their phones out of car windows. They're running them over with buses. They're doing anything they can to get rid of them. In reality, of course, people aren't throwing their $1,000 phone out a car window to get rid of it. Of course, we have a little bit of fun with it, but you don't really see people doing that. And so the purpose of the story was to say that Samsung has a positive retention rate that's very high, and Apple also has a positive retention rate, but it's a much lower retention rate than Samsung does. So in other words, if you're looking at who's losing more customers in a given quarter, it's Apple. Now, who knows why that is? It could be because the phones are stupid expensive. There could be a lot of reasons for that. So I get a Facebook message from a gentleman who is upset with me because I'm trashing on Apple. Now, I live in a household where my daughter has 2 iPads, so if the battery on one dies, she has another one that she can pick up. She's special needs, so there's some reasons for that. But basically, we have 2 iPads in the house. My son has an iPhone. My wife has an iPhone. In the service center, in my data recovery lab, I have a Mac. I have a nice iMac, actually, big old 27-inch iMac. In all of our service centers, we have Macs as well. It's not that we dislike Mac. It's not that we dislike it at all. It's just during the program, 90% of the people listening to the show are using PCs. And so we kind of cater to the audience. And also, nobody wants to tune into a computer repair program where we talk about how long your administrative password should be. Nobody wants to hear that. And no one will listen if I talk about that. So with that said, we try to be entertaining, right? Throw your phone out the window, Apple users. Everybody else is doing it. We'll tell you more coming up next. So that was the whole point of that story. So he obviously was upset by that. And he made a comment that, the show in the past used to be a lot more informative. That we used to have a lot more information that people could actually use, and now it's more entertainment-y. So in every criticism, there's a nugget of truth, right? So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, have we stopped educating really? Have we not done as much? So today on the program, I'm going to make some active efforts to make sure I am delivering you. I'm going to hit you up with some serious computer knowledge here without talking about how long your administrative password should be. 32 characters, random, no English words, alphanumeric with symbols. Okay? Yes, 32 characters. 32 random characters that you're supposed to memorize, not write down, so you can log into your computer. That's what security experts will tell you. Is anybody going to do that? No. Do I do that? No. It's unreasonable. Do you use a password manager to manage your passwords? You're not supposed to. What happens if they get hacked? So this week, there has been a ransomware infection moving its way through the Omaha and Lincoln metro areas. Now, we've had a number of people that have come in. Some of them have been corporate clients that have been impacted by this. Some of them have been, small businesses that have been impacted, and we've had some consumers that have been impacted by this. We had one of our corporate clients actually. I mean, when a ransomware infection happens to a business, it literally stops the business cold. So, what is ransomware? Ransomware is a virus that gets into your computer and it encrypts everything on your hard drive. It locks you out of all of your files. So imagine anything on your computer, pictures, videos, documents, all encrypted so that you can't open them. And of course, there's a message on the screen that then says, if you want your stuff back, you have to pay a ransom. You have to pay the ransom in Bitcoin. Here's how much the ransom is. Here's how to pay it. And the ransom for this particular infection, no matter who it is or who gets infected, seems to be $2,800 in Bitcoin. Okay, so now I want you to ask yourself, if your computer at home got encrypted right now. Now we're not. You're saying I have a backup, Thor. It erases backups. It literally blows out the backup. And if it doesn't do that, it'll encrypt it. Well, I have Carbonite. I have OneDrive. I have Dropbox. I have some kind of cloud backup. Well, guess what? When you change the local files on your computer, those programs are designed to automatically back up your data to the cloud, right? So if I take your file, beautiful pictures of the kids.jpg, and then I encrypt it so you can't look at those beautiful kids anymore, and then Carbonite says, ooh, update, and sucks it up to the web, or more importantly, services that you pay for do have some tendency to mitigate some of this stuff, like Dropbox that you pay for example, but most people don't pay for Dropbox. They use the free version. Well, the free version just sucks that picture right up to the internet, overwriting the one that you had before, and now you have an encrypted photo in two places. So the thing that I'm going to express to you today, guys, we're going to talk a little bit about security, but we're going to deep dive on ransomware specifically. Papillion La Vista Public Schools is dealing with a ransomware infection right now. They were luckily able, they got hit by the same thing that's going around now. They were hit in May. So if that tells you anything, this particular type of infection has been around, has existed since May. So it's about 2 months old, but every 6 hours, the virus makers re-engineer the virus so that most antivirus programs can't detect it for a little while anyway, long enough for them to infect some more people. So with a ransomware attack or infection, you are literally left with two choices. If you don't have an off-site, like a cold storage backup, so a backup that you ran on your computer and then disconnected and set aside. If you don't have that, your computer is done. You have to pay the ransom or you don't get your files back. It is that simple. And you feel terrible paying the ransom because most of these ransoms go to North Korea or they go to Iran or some, these are most of these ransomware attacks at this level are state sponsored. This is a very sophisticated piece of ransomware. It's so sophisticated that the corporate client of ours that got hit was running Endpoint and it went through Endpoint. Now, Endpoint did put up a valiant defense. I will give it credit for that. The problem is as it was defending itself, the attackers realized, hey, Symantec has figured out this virus and they put out a definition update to stop it. We can't infect people effectively anymore. So in real time, we're going to re-engineer the virus and release a newer, updated version that will be able to penetrate for at least another couple hours. So we are dealing with a world right now, folks, where security threats are not measured in a daily virus update. They're not measured in twice a day virus update. They're measured in, can we get a virus together that'll run for 2 hours that will infect people's computers and make us some money? That's what we're dealing with. So the security in your environment is something you have to take very, very seriously. So today, I'm going to go over a specific example of this ransomware and how this works and what happened to this particular customer. This particular customer had an office with about 15 computers in it. The virus entered the network Sunday afternoon at around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It entered on a front desk computer, a computer where the person on the front desk was running Endpoint, was running Secure Updater. Everything from a security perspective, from the software perspective, was everything we could do. But they refused to stop using Internet Explorer. Now, we can't prove that the virus infection came in through Internet Explorer. However, it is widely known and widely documented that Internet Explorer is Swiss cheese. It hasn't been updated. It's IE 11. It hasn't been updated since Windows Vista, guys. So that means if you have a Windows 7 computer, your computer is newer than Internet Explorer's most recent version. No patches, no updates. It's just, it is what it is. Microsoft has abandoned it and literally told people, stop using it. I wonder why they couldn't just uninstall it. Maybe it goes back to that Bill Gates thing where they told the Justice Department that it was part of Windows and it couldn't be separated. I don't know. It's still present in Windows 10 if you dig deep enough, because state and government agencies, guess what? They haven't redesigned their software to not use Internet Explorer yet. And I've talked about this before, and you guys on Facebook have commented and commented and commented about how at work you're forced to use Internet Explorer because this program or this piece of software or that piece of software isn't compatible with anything else. Well, guess what? The Louisiana Police Department, I think it was Louisiana, I'll check this during the break and make sure, all their squad cars have no computers anymore. They're dead because they're all encrypted. Because probably somebody back at dispatch was using Internet Explorer. So this virus enters this network. Primarily, we are guessing at this point because that person was using Internet Explorer. The virus was so new that semantic endpoint, even the sonar protection that's designed to, if it looks like a virus and it smells like a virus, it's probably a virus, wasn't able to stop it immediately. The first thing the virus did was to damage the antivirus software to prevent it from updating, right? So it doesn't get stopped in the middle of whatever it's going to do. So what it did is it blows up the definitions and replaces the definition file. It blows up the logs for the scans and everything else. So it looks like this computer. Now, we installed, as you guys know who have Endpoint, you got a big upgrade in June to the new version, right? Well, this version on their computers in their office was installed in June. They're a corporate customer. We did this for them because they're a corporate customer. So we installed it in June, but for some reason the definitions were from May all of a sudden. So how do you install a program in June and have definitions from May? It doesn't happen. When we installed Endpoint, it gives it the current definitions from that moment in time. So, wow, interesting stuff. So the client's looking at their computer like, my computer hasn't been scanned since May. And I totally understand why the guy thinks that. I totally get that. But this is what the virus does. So then the next thing it does is it uses Windows Media Player and the media server function within Windows Media Player to attempt to give it sharing permission across the network. It's enabling everything, sharing everything it can share to open up any possible access to other computers in the network. And once it finds those other computers, it found a second computer to infect. Instead of just spreading to the computer, the bad guys dropped a whole nother encryption virus on that computer. So now we have two separate encryption viruses on the network, each one requiring a $3,000 ransom payment if we want to decrypt, okay? Now, in the office, there is no reason that they should have cloud accounts set up on the computers. We never set them up for them. They never asked us to set them up for them. They already have a shared network server. Why do they need a cloud storage account to share files between computers in the office? They don't. Yet somebody set one up anyway and shared it with 5 computers in the office. The infection then jumped from the second front desk computer to a third computer on the network, dropping yet a third infection. That computer had the shared OneDrive folder that then spread to the other 4 computers, and it dropped a separate infection on each of those 4 computers. So now if you're keeping track, we have 7 computers that are infected with ransomware in this company at this point. All 7 computers have 7 different types of 7 different instances of the same infection, each one requiring a separate $3,000 decryption. Oh, but wait, it gets better. See, these computers all talk to each other, you see. So they're fighting with each other because they all want to be the king encryptor, right? They want to be the one encrypting all the stuff and collecting all the ransom. So what we have now is double encryption. So the file is encrypted by one program, and then that encrypted file gets encrypted by a second program and a third program and a fourth program because they're going back and forth through the OneDrive fighting over this. Oh my goodness. It's like peeling back an onion at the $3,000 a peel. So the server in the back, the crown jewel of the network where all of the data is stored, it got hit with its own strain of ransomware. And the endpoint on the server did a bang up job of trying to protect that server because it got hit later. Everybody else got hit around 2:30, 2:40 in the afternoon. Well, this server got hit around 6 o'clock in the evening. So it was about 4 hours later that the server got hit. Endpoint had received new definitions at that point and was more able to see there's something weird going on. We're seeing a lot of ransomware and we're seeing it evolve quickly. So maybe we should turn up the sonar a little bit here. That's what Endpoint does, right? So it was able to slow down that server infection to the point where the one that hit the server was able to encrypt most of the server, but not spread off of the server. So they were able to kind of hobble Endpoint, but they weren't able to completely destroy it. Long story short, too late. This business is ending up paying some ransomware ransoms because they need to get their data back, and it's going to cost them too much to recreate it. It's way more than the cost of the ransom to recreate it. So when we come back from the break, I am going to tell you the things that you need to do to make sure this doesn't happen to you and this doesn't happen to your business. There are things that you can do on your own without paying anybody a dime. And there are things that we can do for you if you choose to hire us to do them, and that's great. This is the educational part of the show, guys. So stay tuned. We're going to tell you how to protect your network from this stuff. We're going to also tell you what's going on in the Papillion La Vista public school system right now and how they're dealing with it. And imagine if this happened to your home or business. Oh, my goodness. All that and your calls, 866-496-8772, coming up next on Compute This.
Today's fragile computers need maintenance more than ever. Your computer needs a maintenance checkup every 6 months to last beyond its 18-month expected lifespan. Some people like desktops for their power and upgradability, but nothing rivals a laptop for computing on the go. But why should you have to sacrifice performance for portability? The innovators at Schrock want our customers to have it all, so we created a new kind of laptop, the solid-state laptop from Schrock Innovations. Solid-state laptops are built using the same frame and mainboards as regular laptops, but we've removed half of the moving parts while more than doubling the computer's speed. The result? Laptops that boot to Windows in 6 seconds or less, respond instantly to your commands, and can survive drops that put most laptops into the data recovery lab. Starting at only $499, solid-state laptops give you speed, reliability, durability, and performance for the same price most people pay for a cheap disposable laptop. The next time you're looking for a laptop, check out the solid-state laptops at SchrockInnovations.com or visit any of our service centers. Simple, solid, fast technology is what we do at Schrock. Compute This pro tip number 753. Have you ever wondered how the bad guys always seem to find a way into your computer? Gone are the good old days of email worms and I love you viruses. Nobody wants to steal your data anymore, or in many cases, even your identity. Today's cyber criminals want to sell access to your computer or hold your data for ransom. The bad guys are exploiting zero-day vulnerabilities to break into systems that are supposed to be hack-proof. These vulnerabilities are always newly discovered, and the criminals have a brief time to exploit them before they get patched. Antivirus and firewalls do not prevent these attacks, but you can minimize your computer's exposure by installing all security patches as quickly as possible. The average computer needs 12 patches a week. That's not including the ones that are automatically delivered to your computer. Boost your cybersecurity by staying on top of it manually or use a patch installation program like Secure Updater to get your computer the patches it needs. This pro tip is brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
All right, guys. Sorry to drop a lead balloon on you this morning. You know, you're here, you're listening to the radio show, you're like, yay, I'm going to be entertained. And now I'm like, boom, knowledge bomb. This is what you got to do or you're going to die. All right? It's that serious, though. 866-496-8772. You're listening to Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company, where this is what we do, guys. You know, what we do is when one of our corporate clients is in a crisis like this, we show up. I pulled a 22-hour shift Thursday on site for this corporate client to try to restore at least their ability to bill customers and receive payments and set appointments and schedule jobs. That was half of what was down. That's business critical to them, and we were able to get that up and running again. And then hopefully here on about Tuesday, we'll be able to get the rest of their systems up and running again. And of course, you know, I'm not going to tell you who they are. I'm not going to tell you what industry they're in. It's if your business was hit by something like this, you wouldn't want anyone knowing that you were compromised. It's kind of embarrassing. So let's start out with the basics, shall we? I've talked about this before. This is difficult to talk about on the radio because there's no way for me to give you direct instructions on how to do it, but every single one of you needs to do it, okay? Your router, your wireless router in your house, the thing that allows you to have internet on all of your devices. That router, there's usually two types. There's the type you buy yourself, that you buy at the store, and you go Schrock, you get a router, you put the router in, and then it works. There's a second type that is an all-in-one bundle. This is what Cox or Spectrum or CenturyLink or whoever is going to give you to have in your home, and it's all of it together. Now, in this scenario, you are relying on Cox or CenturyLink or whatever to give you the updates that you need to update that modem/router combination. Sometimes companies do that, sometimes they don't. I don't know individual track records for individual companies. That's beside the point. If you're a home user, don't sweat that too much. They're going to protect you as best you can. If you're concerned about your security in your home, if you run a home business, if you're a photographer, if you have a lot of data in your home that if it was encrypted would be gone, you should not be using that all-in-one solution. That all-in-one solution is designed for grandmas and grandpas that are going to check their email and get off the internet and maybe stream some Netflix. Maybe. Right? That's what that's for. And aside from that, you shouldn't be using the wireless functions in that router if you are anything more advanced than that. So if you're more advanced than that, you can get a router. And then when you have your own router that you're going to pay at least $150 for to get a decent one, then that gives you options in the router to lock things down. Now, you don't have to be a computer expert. The biggest thing I want you to make sure you do is to keep that router firmware current. Every month or so, put a calendar reminder to log into your router. All the instructions are in the router to log into the router. They came with the router to do that. It's very easy to do. You type in an address 192.168.1.1. Sometimes it's .1.0. Sometimes it's .0.1. It just depends on the brand of your router. Okay. You type in the address. It asks you for the username and password. Guess what? When these things come, they have a default username or password. Admin password or admin. You want to change that. Yeah, you want to change that default password so it's not the default password anymore. And you want to keep this password somewhere where you know what it is, because if you ever need to get back into your router to update the firmware, you will need that password. So the router is the gateway into your home or business. If you're running a business, if you actually are running a business and you are running that business with a residential wireless router, a wireless router that costs you $200 or less, your business is vulnerable right now, even if you're updating the firmware. For example, in my house, after all this happened, I sat down and I said, you know what? I'm gonna dig into my logs. Everybody wants to do that on a Saturday afternoon, right? Sit down and dig into the router logs and see what's happened, because the router that I have at my house is pretty advanced because we have a lot of stuff going on. I'm remoting into my home computers. The kids are all streaming. My wife does photography work. We got all kinds of stuff going on, right? So we go into the router, and sure enough, I look back through the logs and I find that the router's AI has automatically protected me from 3 different ransomware infection attempts on July 13th of this year. Didn't even know they happened. The router stopped it before it even got to the computers and the network, and that's what you want to see. You want to see, this is the equivalent in a business of having a hardware firewall, except the hardware firewalls are, yeah, they protect your stuff, but then all of a sudden somebody finds an exploit for a Cisco firewall and boom, you're right back where you started again. And so it's really hard. Once that trust is broken in your computing technology, it's hard to keep straight. It's hard to earn that back. Now, once you have the router protected, once you have the firmware updated in your router, at that point, now we're dealing with endpoints on the network. That's why they call it endpoint security. The different endpoints on your network are phones, tablets, computers, your Internet of Things thermostat, your Xbox, all these different things. Now, the things that are going to get attacked most often are going to be the computers, and increasingly now, I have a story about this to share with you today. Phones and tablets are getting attacked with ransomware and all kinds of nastiness. Everybody's using their tablets and their phones because they think this is great. I don't have to have maintenance done on them because, there's not really much to do. A Windows tablet needs a little bit, but an Android tablet or an iPad, there's not really any maintenance. And you know what? I don't have to run antivirus on it. So it's actually a lot cheaper for me to run a tablet than it is to have a computer. And that used to be true, guys. That is not the case now. So if you have any device on your network that's unprotected, a tablet, a phone, if you have friends over, if you have people over for Thanksgiving and your family jumps on the Wi-Fi and their phones aren't protected, guess what? You have an unprotected endpoint on your network. And if that one person makes one stupid decision, like opening something in Internet Explorer, for example, that was a phishing link that infected the computer, sending a command and control thing back to the command and control server at Mr. Klutz, KLUTTZ.com. Don't go there, guys. That's the command and control server for the, I shouldn't have even said it out loud, I guess. Yeah, don't go there. But that's the command and control server for this particular infection. It phones home there to see if that domain is registered. And if it is, bam, it infects. Or, it's nasty stuff. So you need endpoint on every endpoint on your network, because if you have endpoint on all the computers but not the phones, and it comes in through the phone, guess what? It doesn't have to infect the other computers on the network to spread, because it's not trying to spread itself. It's trying to encrypt your documents and your files. So it's going to encrypt your contacts, your pictures, your text messages in your phone first. It's going to start there. Then it's going to see if it can spread to any other device in your network at home. And if it can, it will. And when it does, it will encrypt those devices. It doesn't infect them, it encrypts them. Okay? There's a difference. And unfortunately, antivirus software looks for infections, right? And so the endpoint on your computer says, I'm doing my job, nothing got in here. And the endpoint on your laptop says, I'm doing my job, nothing got in here. And your poor unprotected phone has no gatekeeper, and the infection rolls in, and the computer and the laptop are like, not on me. I didn't do that. That came in over there on that phone. And as a consequence, everything got encrypted. So yeah, it's not my fault, but everything's encrypted anyway. Do you want to pay the ransom? So you can see how this is a particularly insidious virus. So now when we come, I got to take the bottom of the hour break here, guys. But when we come back, the Papillion La Vista School District was hit by a ransomware attack in May, roughly. And they are dealing with that right now. They luckily were able to, they brought the FBI in. They were able to prevent any significant encryption of data. But the problem with this stuff is it's insidious. You literally have to clean every corner of the network. If any one infected node remains and you bring that network back online, everything goes down again. You can see now why they've been dealing with this for 2 months now. So we're going to tell you what the links that they are going through to protect their stuff, and then we're going to tell you exactly what you can do on your computer right now to help protect it from these kinds of attacks, and the kind of backup that you need to do as well. We're going to tell you all that, and of course take your calls coming up next thing on the line. Ron, I'll get you next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations can't teleport technicians to you, but online help is only a click away with the Schrock Desk. Subscribe today and get unlimited help whenever you need it. In 1798, Eli Whitney's Connecticut Musket Factory was the first business in North America to use replaceable parts in a firearm. Before Eli's factory, if your musket broke, you had to send it away to an expert gunsmith for repairs, or just toss it and buy a new musket. Technology manufacturing has come a long way since the 18th century, but you wouldn't know it by looking at today's big box store computers. Dell, HP, Sony, and other manufacturers continue to take away your freedom to upgrade and repair your computer by eliminating expansion and repair options. Some desktops are even powered by a tiny laptop adapter. Schrock Innovations believes in Eli Whitney's idea of interchangeable and replaceable components, and that's why our custom-built modular computers last longer and cost less to repair than computers you see at big box stores. Ask your friends and family how often they replace their box store computers, and they'll probably tell you every couple of years. And what do they do with the old machines? They just get thrown out like broken muskets. Imagine a place where your computer's problems can be fixed quickly and inexpensively. Imagine keeping your computer for 6 years or more. You are imagining the kind of computers we build every day at Schrock Innovations. Our modular systems last longer, perform faster, and cost less over the long term than anything you can buy at a big box store. While the talented technicians at Schrock Innovations can't make you a musket even if they tried, our commitment to the freedom offered by modular computers is the modern-day extension of Eli's innovative musket factory. We think Eli Whitney would be proud, and you can take pride in owning a small piece of American innovation. The modular computer from Schrock Innovations. Compute This pro tip number 187. Recently, you may have received a phone call from someone claiming to be from Microsoft or had a message pop up on your screen telling you that your computer was infected. Do not respond to these calls or messages. They're always a scam. Microsoft will never call you about your computer. Here's how the scam actually shakes out. You get the phone call that your computer's infected. The scammers hit you with some mumbo jumbo about an infected IP address. They'll ask your permission to connect and help you fix it. Once they're in your computer, they do a bunch of fake scans that detect a lot of problems that really aren't there. You see the scan results and figure your computer's in trouble. Next, the scammers will demand up to $400 to clean up the computer and set you up with a lifetime protection. Don't fall for the scam. Keep good security software installed like Endpoint and Secure Updater so when things like this do happen, you know you are covered. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm Karen McHugh. 2 massacres in less than 24 hours. The latest happening overnight in Dayton, Ohio, where a gunman in body armor opened fire on a large outdoor crowd around 1 a.m.
26 have been injured and are at area hospitals. 10 fatalities in our community, including the shooter.
Mayor Nan Whaley praised police who responded quickly, killing the killer in less than a minute. Earlier, a gunman went on a killing spree Saturday morning in El Paso at a Texas Walmart.
Police responded in minutes to the shooting and managed to take the suspected shooter, a 21-year-old white man from Allen, Texas, into custody without firing a single shot. 20 innocent people died, and more than 24 were hurt in this shooting, affecting people from the ages of 2 to as old as 80, 82.
Fox's Jeff Paul. This is a Fox News alert.
Now, the News Radio 1110 KFAB Weather Watch.
Partly to mostly clear skies this morning with temperatures around 70 degrees. We should see plenty of sun through the day with high temperatures around 86, dropping back to 70 overnight. Partly cloudy skies on Monday, an increasing chance for storms by the evening. High temperatures around 88. With Omaha's most accurate forecast, I'm 6 News First Alert meteorologist David Keller on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
70 in Omaha, 68 in Lincoln at 7:34 on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
All right, guys, welcome back into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company, where we do all kinds of stuff for computers. But one of the biggest things that we're doing these days for clients is we are keeping you safe and doing everything we can to keep you safe. Now, anybody who tells you that do these 15 things and your network is guaranteed to never get impacted or infected, they're lying to you. There is no way to maintain a perfectly secure network, but there are some things that we can do to make sure that your network and your computer stays safe. So, for example, do not use an outdated operating system. By outdated, what do I mean? Do not run Windows XP on anything in your home or business, ever. Now, if you have to run Windows XP for some reason, for example, you have a piece of software hooked up to a really expensive piece of manufacturing equipment, and that software only runs on XP, and to buy a new piece of software is like $1 million. We've had that before. We've seen that before. You can run XP, but you have to air gap it. You cannot have that XP computer connected to the network or connected to the internet in any way. If that's required to make that piece of machinery run, it's going to be a cost of doing business. You have to buy new. You just can't have that. And there will be security people who come in and say, well, there's ways we can mitigate the risk. And there are things that can be done in that environment to mitigate the risk, to lessen it, but you're never going to get rid of it. Number 2, outdated operating systems are XP and Vista, and starting in January, Windows 7. So if you look down in the lower left-hand corner of your screen at your computer and your start menu is a circle, you have a computer that's either outdated right now or will be outdated in January. We can help you with that. We can get you upgraded to Windows 10. It looks a lot like Windows 7, guys. It's not like back in the Vista stuff or the Windows 8 stuff where everything was crazy and nobody liked it and it was awful. Windows 10 is really good. You're not going to be disappointed if you upgrade to Windows 10. Let us upgrade you to Windows 10. That way you don't have to buy a whole new computer running Windows 10 anyway. By the way, you can't even at any price buy a computer running Windows 7 that runs current hardware anymore. You just can't. because the hardware is programmed to only run on Windows 10 and higher now. And they're doing the same thing for Mac and Linux too. So don't think it's a Windows thing. It's everybody. They want you running current operating systems that are supported with patches for this very reason. Number 2, your backups. First off, I tell you every week, make a backup. We have a data recovery lab, and the reason that lab is in business is because people don't back up, or people are caught in a situation where they haven't backed up recently, or people are caught in a ransomware infection where the ransomware either deleted or encrypted the backup as well. So for most people, guys, for most of you listening, having a backup drive, like an external hard drive, do we have Ron back? Did he come back? Oh, awesome. Sorry, Ron, I saw that you dropped to the break there, so I didn't go right to your call, but I'll grab you in a second here. If you have an external hard drive or an internal drive, even better, that you're backing up to on a regular basis, that's perfect. That's great. If you are a business, or if you have significant data, if you're a photographer who works from your home, if you have a lot of information that if it was lost, you would be really, really, really in trouble, you need what's called a cold storage backup. A cold storage backup is yet another backup drive that you hook up to the computer and you run a backup, and then you disconnect it from the computer and you put it in a drawer. Ideally, if you're a business like a doctor or a chiropractor or a dentist or something like that, where you're adding information on a daily or hourly basis, you want to run several cold storage backups throughout the week. So you want to do one on Monday, that's drive number 1, and one on Friday, that's drive number 2. That way, no matter what happens, if it happens over the weekend, you can go back to Friday. If it happens on Thursday, you can go back to Monday. And yes, it's a pain in the butt because somebody has to physically go hook the drive up to the computer and physically run the backup. We are working right now, guys, on a solution that will implement cold storage backups for clients that is affordable, because the problem with cloud storage for cold storage is that if you need like 400 gigs of data backed up, you're going to pay $1,000 a month for that. I mean, it's expensive for businesses to do offsite backups for this very reason. So we're going to work on a solution for that, but we'll get to that later on. So 866-496-8772. Number 1, make sure your router firmware is up to date. Number 2, do not run computers anywhere in your house, even if it's just for the kids, that are XP or Vista or after January, Windows 7. Number 3, make sure you have backups enabled, at least a backup, if not a backup, a cold storage backup in addition to that. All right. So now, Ron, you have a question about external hard drives, actually, so this time's out pretty good. How can I help you today on Compute This?
Hi, Thor. I was looking through some pictures that I have saved on an external drive the other day, and some of them had funny names to them. And so I clicked on one of them, and it said, "Oops, this looks like a format we don't support."
Okay.
And I'd heard you talk about some kind of a malware that affects external drives, and I wonder if I got hit with that.
Gotcha. So the particular file that you opened, do you happen to have that up in front of you right now?
No, we're actually in the car driving.
Oh, okay. No worries, Ron.
But my question was, if I would bring in this external drive to the store, could you guys make a copy of what's left, or would you end up just copying the malware or the ransomware or whatever it is?
Gotcha. So a few great questions here. So first of all, if your computer is running antivirus like Symantec Endpoint, when you plug in a flash drive or an external hard drive, if there's an active infection running on that drive, it will get cleaned automatically without you having to do anything. That's why we love Symantec Endpoint so much, because it does a lot of the stuff so that you can do what you do and not have to worry about it. It literally will cover you in 99.8% of all the situations. This particular person got hit because this virus was very, very nasty, and they were able to find an exploit to get into their computer network and then change the virus in real time to get around the endpoint security. So they were targeting a business. This was a phishing attack, more than likely. So anyway, in your case, Ron, it's possible that the file that you happen to click on, for whatever reason, if it had an extension that wasn't available for that computer to open, it may have just been saying, "Hey, I don't have a program to open this file." Now, if you think you're clicking on a picture and it's not opening, that's a problem, because every computer can open a picture. But if you're trying to open, some kind of other program file that maybe has a weird extension to it, then it's not going to know that. Now, the thing is with ransomware infections, let's assume for a second that you're correct and that at some point you got hit with ransomware and at some point that external hard drive was encrypted with ransomware. Occasionally, these people get busted. And when they get busted, the security researchers are able to gain what's called a universal decryption key. And this universal decryption key is a way that they can create a tool that will decrypt the data that's been encrypted by ransomware. And there are decryption tools for over 140 different types of ransomware out there right now. Now, the challenge here is the one that's going around right now is so new, it's only been out since May, that no one's been busted, no one's been caught. And there haven't been enough infections for security researchers to sit down and say, this is a tool, this is how we can make a tool to stop this. So there is no free decryptor available for the current one going around. And there was never like the WannaCry virus came out a while back. There still is not a decryptor for that one, and that one's several years old. But there are others that decryptors have been found and created for. There's over 140 of them, actually. So it's possible if your computer was impacted in the past by ransomware, what they say is if you get hit, don't wipe your hard drive and throw all your data away, because it's possible a year, 2 years, several years down the line, a decryption program will become available that will allow you to get the data back without paying the ransom. And of course, the best policy is don't pay the ransom, because the reason guys do this is because people pay the ransom. Again, if you're a business owner, if you want to keep running your business, you're going to pay the ransom. So some people will pay the ransom no matter how much you tell them you shouldn't pay the ransom, just because they don't have a choice. But if you're a residential user and you can wait, I'd encourage you not to pay the ransom and just wait, and then see later on if you can decrypt those files. But the problem is there's always the chance you won't be able to. So yes, Ron, to answer your question, bring that into us. We can take a look at that external hard drive for you. We will know within moments if it was encrypted by ransomware. And of course, when we hook it up to our computer's endpoint, if there's an active infection, we'll quarantine it and stop it. But the top of the bottom line here is we can detect it. We'll know if it was a ransomware or not. And ransomware, as much as scary as it is, the reason people don't take it seriously is it doesn't happen to people very often. Chances are you don't know anybody who's been impacted by ransomware. Some of you might, but most people don't. Because when businesses get hit, they don't tell anybody. And when other individuals get hit, it's a nightmare. And they may tell you, they may not tell you, but most of this stuff goes after businesses. The problem is it's automated. So the computer program doesn't know if you're a business or not until it infects you, right? So once you're infected, then it goes through, well, I'm here anyway, I may as well encrypt it. So some of this ransomware will actually, if it thinks it's on a residential user, they know that most consumers aren't going to drop $3,000 on Bitcoin because they got infected. So the ransoms are usually smaller for people that are residential users. They're $400, $600, whereas a business could be as much. The particular ransomware that's going around right now is actually pretty affordable at $3,000, if that tells you anything. It's one of the cheaper ones. The ransoms can be in the tens of thousands of dollars. So it's not a fun situation at all. Thank you very much for the call, Ron. We'll look forward to seeing you in the service center to get you all taken care of there. All right. I'm not trying to tease this on you guys, but the Papillion La Vista public school system was hit by ransomware in May. And right now, this is on their Papillion La Vista Schools public website. Attention all certified staff. All PLCS computers need to be processed by technology. So what they did is, rather than trying to clean the network and bring it back up, they cleaned the server, they cleaned the network switch, they made sure that there wasn't anything hiding there, they patched everything, and now they're bringing the computers back online one at a time. One at a time. They are over 5,000 computers that have to be checked, scanned, and then brought online. And some of the teachers have these computers at home. So they have to bring them in, they have to be scrubbed and cleaned, and this all has to be done before school starts. So how long will this take? The updates to your computer take 20 to 60 minutes, depending on how much prep work you've done in advance. So think about that for a second. 5,000 computers at an hour per computer. So if I do the calculations on this, 5,000 hours... Let's see. If we take 5,000 hours, I'm opening the calculator right now before we go to break. Okay, let's go to break. I will calculate out how many days of work this is, how many man hours or man days of work this is, or people days, because we're all kosher here. And then when we come back from the break, I'm going to give you some more tips on what you can do to keep your computer safe and the specific ways that Schrock can help you do this so that you have some peace of mind and you don't have to worry when something like this happens. We'll tell you about that coming up next on Compute This.
If you can dream it, Schrock Interactive's website developers can make it happen. Refresh your website, automate sales and marketing, and grow your business today with Schrock Interactive. Every person listening to this broadcast has either experienced data loss or knows someone who has. When you think about it, you have a lot more data stored in many more places than you'd like to admit. Have you downloaded those videos from your phone, backed up the pictures on your iPad, or even tackled that sometimes daunting task of backing up your entire computer's hard drive? Most people just don't back up their stuff, and that's why Schrock Innovations has one of the most advanced data recovery centers in the Midwest. Equipped with the latest DDI data imaging devices, state-of-the-art custom recovery software, and Omaha's best data recovery technicians, Schrock Innovations has a 96.8% success rate when recovering data from damaged hard drives, flash drives, camera cards, and more. We all know we should back up our data, but if you are ever caught in a data loss nightmare, call the experts at Schrock Innovations to get your data back right where it belongs, safe and backed up on a stable hard drive. And now Compute This Pro tip number 373. Everyone knows we're supposed to back up our computers and then check those backups periodically to make sure they're working. So why don't most people do it? Lots of people have different ideas about what backing up means. Is it copying files to a flash drive? Is it using a fancy backup program? And how do you know it's working anyway? Windows makes backups easy through free software that's already on your computer. Open your control panels and click Update and Security. Select Backup and choose from all of the available options to get a regular, reliable checkup. You'll need something to back up to, like a Schrock modular storage device or some other backup hard drive. Backups usually run once a week, but you can always change the frequency. The best part is that if your backup ever fails, you'll see a notification in the lower right corner by your clock telling you something's up. Backing up your important data has never been easier. So take a moment to back up your computer today. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
All right, guys, welcome back into Compute This. My name's Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. Coming up here on the program, we're going to tell you how we can help you out and how we can help keep your computer safe from these kind of attacks and activities. Just did a quick Google search for, we were talking during the break here about, who was that sheriff's department that got hit? So I did a search for sheriff department ransomware and clicked on the news results. Blows your mind. So 1 week ago, ransomware hits North Carolina. 5 days ago, ransomware hits the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office in some other state. Let me see, 1 week ago, 3 weeks ago, Porter County Sheriff in Texas, their department got hit. This is just sheriff departments. I narrowed this down by sheriff's departments, guys. 1 day ago, the Virgo County, Indiana, their sheriff's department got hit. Sheriff's department hit by ransomware 3 days ago in another county. I mean, literally, it is that prevalent. And primarily in government offices, it's because they're running Internet Explorer for everythh. You got to stop this. If you're an IT person that works for a government office, guys, you've got to get off Internet Explorer. I don't care how much it costs to rebuild the software. The ransom is going to be more expensive. 866-496-8772. So Papillion La Vista Public Schools. Around May, their network got infiltrated by a ransomware infection, and IT was able to contain it. It hit during the summer, basically, luckily. So it wasn't, near summer. So they were able to get it contained. They were able to have some time to work on it. So here we are, late May they got hit. Here we are a little about 2 months later, and they're still recovering. And they're having, basically they had a day for each school where the tech team for each school would be there, and they would scrub each computer and then bring that one. So they created a safe network, and then they scrub the dirty computers down, get them all cleaned up, re-image them, do the whole bit, and then they make that computer part of the safe network. And so they have to do that with every computer. Now, there's over 5,000 computers to do. If you divide that out, and it takes an hour per computer, so 5,000 man-hours of work, and you figure they're not working 24 hours a day, right? So let's say they're working at perfect efficiency from moment zero, which of course they're not. We're talking 25 days of continuous work, and that's if you have every computer in front of you to scrub. Some of these computers aren't on location. They're at teachers' homes, like the Surface tablets. The teachers take those home. So they can't bring those back in and put them on the network until they're cleaned. And so literally here are the makeup days if you missed the day for your school. So they're dealing with all the logistics of that. And like your device will not be allowed on the network unless it's cleaned by our tech staff. So it's literally that serious, guys, that it's taken down sheriff's departments. It's taken down public schools. Let me see. Let's see. I'll do a search real quick for city ransomware. City ransomware. This is live Google searching on the radio, guys, right here. California City, 2 days ago. Big payments there 1 day ago, 1 week ago. Johannesburg, 4 weeks ago. Geez, I mean, it's like I'm just going down the list here, and there's story after story after story. 180,000 news results, guys. News results. Those are current. That's stuff that's happening in like the last month or two. So long and short of it is it's something you take seriously. Now, what can you do to protect yourself? We're going to take our final break of the program. When we come back, I am going to give you specific concrete steps that you can do right now to protect your computer and make sure that you are not hit by something like this coming up next on Compute This.
Drive Advisor is a free program from Schrock Innovations that monitors your hard drive's health and tells you if it's going bad. Download it for free at driveadvisor.com.
Welcome to Schrock Innovations. How can I help you today?
I'm having a problem with my computer.
You're at the right place. We fix problems with computers.
That's why I'm here.
What seems to be the problem with your computer?
When I press the power button, it doesn't boot up. How fast can you fix it?
We're the fastest computer fixer in Omaha. We'll fix it fast.
How fast?
Real fast. Do you have it plugged in when you turn it on?
Of course it was plugged in. Do people make that mistake a lot?
You'd be surprised. When you press the power button, what happens?
It roars, then stops and sits.
Ooh, like a lion?
Like a what? Well, I suppose.
Sounds like a bad power supply, sir.
Is that bad?
It's not good, but we can fix it fast.
How fast?
How's that for fast?
Does it work?
Yes, sir. More purring, less roaring now.
Wow, that was fast.
Schrock Innovations is the fastest computer repair in Omaha, sir.
That's great, but all this talking is making me hungry. You guys sell sandwiches?
We do fast computer repair. If you want a fast sandwich, you have to go someplace else. Why would we sell sandwiches?
I don't know. All this fast talking is strangely familiar.
Schrock Innovations. If you want a fast sandwich, don't go there. But if you want your computer fixed and back on your desk fast, give them a call or visit their website at SchrockInnovations.com. Compute This Pro Tip 299. There are enough mothballed computers in U.S. homes to give one to every man, woman, and child in the country. Many of these computers find their way into landfills where they can leak cadmium, lithium, and other nasty chemicals into the groundwater. Schrock Innovations is very proud of the fact that we recycle more e-waste every year than we create. You can drop off any old or broken computer equipment to our service centers at any time, free of cost. We only charge $15 just for monitors because they are especially difficult to process. No appointment is required, and we accept all computer-related equipment like printers, keyboards, speakers, and accessories. Additionally, the rare earth elements in computers can be recycled right here in the U.S. to reduce our reliance on supplies from foreign countries. Take a moment, drop off your old computer equipment today, and Schrock will make sure it's properly recycled and put to good use right here in the U.S. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
All right, guys, welcome back into Compute This. We're moving fast. I got two callers who want to get in on the program, and I got to give you guys some concrete tips here. So here's what we're going to do first. This is a big duh. You need to be running Endpoint, okay? I don't care if you get it from us. I don't care if you get it from your Uncle Bob. I don't care. Get Endpoint for your computer. McAfee, not good enough. Webroot, not good enough. AVG, Avast, not good enough. Malwarebytes, a joke. Gosh, you know, the free stuff your internet service provider gives you, it's not good enough, okay? I've been preaching this for a long time, so this shouldn't be news to anybody who's been listening to the program for a while now. Endpoint antivirus is literally the best you can get. That's why the radio station I'm at right now is running Endpoint. That's why my laptop is running Endpoint. That's why my service centers are running Endpoint. That's why my customers who care about their security are running Endpoint. Take a moment this morning to go down in the lower right-hand corner of your screen if you're running Endpoint and just double check it. Double click on it. Do a live update. Run a full scan. Just play with it. You can't break it. If you break it, we'll fix it for free anyway, but you can't break it. Just play with it. Run an update. Learn how that stuff goes. Number 2, Secure Updater. Guys, there are 12 updates a week for your computer that are not automatically installing that you are supposed to be doing. Secure Updater is a program that we make at Schrock that automatically and silently installs updates for all of this third-party software that we all have that you don't even know you have on your computer. You've got Dropbox on your computer. It came pre-installed. Even if you don't use Dropbox, it's there, so it's a security vulnerability. Uninstall it or keep it updated, your choice. Java, Flash. My gosh, the bad guys on some of these computers were dropping TeamViewer installations so they could come back later but they were installing like TeamView 10. That's George W. Bush era TeamView, okay? So if you do have TeamView installed so that you remote into your computer at home or things like that, make sure you got the current version. Secure Updater updates all of these programs for you. The program costs like $2 a month, guys. You can get it at secureupdater.com, or you can come into the service centers and we will install it for you. All 3 service centers have open bench spots. It has been a hellish week in the service centers this week as we have helped customers through this, but we're through the majority of it now, and we're here to prevent it from happening again. This is the time to act. You want to prevent ransomware. You don't want to recover from it, because your choices to recover, there are 2. 1, pay the ransom, or 2, do not. You have lots of choices right now how to protect yourself. You're going to choose today whether you're going to install Endpoint. You're going to get us to install that. You're going to choose whether or not you decide to take this phone threat seriously finally. We left the price at $65 because not a lot of people took us up on it, to be honest, to protect their phones, because people still believe that the phones are impervious. They're not. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry to be so aggressive about this, but they are not impervious. Let me grab my story here. Oh, of course, I can't find it quickly. Oh, okay, malware proxies. Yeah, so there was a story today that I had up, and it's moved on now. But anyway, your phone is vulnerable. There's malware for Android. There's malware for Apple phones. There's ransomware for Android now. Wow, it's like a new feature, right? Get your phones protected by Endpoint. Get Secure Updater installed. Make sure the router firmware is up to date on your router. Make sure you've changed all the default passwords for anything in your house that has a default password, like your router. Probably didn't even know it had a default password. You need to change that. We can do all this for you if you have us come out on site. It usually takes an hour or less for us to secure everything and lock it down. It's about $135 an hour for on-site work, okay? The other stuff we'll do in the service center for you, or we can do it over our Schrock Desk connection. Give us a call in one of the service centers and let us help you out. All right, Linda and Rick, stay on the lines. I don't have time to get your calls today on the program on the air, but I will take your calls off the air. For those of you who are watching on Facebook right now, we will stream an After Schrock show at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations, where we will go over more questions and dig a little deeper on this and go into depth on it a little bit. The last thing I'll leave you guys with is there is never too many backups. So if you have a lot of information on your computer that is important to you, you obviously need a backup, but I would encourage you to make a cold storage backup as well. Yes, you do have to buy an extra hard drive to do that, but it's worth it. Do it once a month. Do it once a week. Set a reminder up that you're going to do a backup of your stuff once in a while, and keep that backup at home off to the side in case something happens. All right, stay tuned on Facebook for the Aftershock, and we'll be back next weekend for another edition of Compute This.
27 days until kickoff. Go Big Red. This is News Radio 11.